Hello, everybody. We're ready to pick up on day 4, and we're looking at the road to Machu Picchu. 2 hours before sunrise the next morning, the Thea sisters set out on their journey. The mouselings were sleepier than a hibernating badger. Paulina was the only one who was completely awake. She sat next to her uncle, who was in the driver's seat. He would take them to the train bound for Machu Picchu. Paulina was glad for the opportunity to ask him about Maria. Your sister is doing quite well, her uncle assured her. She misses you. That's only natural. But she is also very, very proud of you. She talks about Mouseford Academy as if she were there with you. She's always squeaking to her friends that one day she will go there and become a Thea sister herself. Paulina was glad to hear Maria was doing so well. It was hard for her to be so far away from her beloved little sister. Meanwhile, outside the windows, the streets of Cusco glowed in the light of the street lamps. This place is so beautiful. It reminds me a little of home, Colette murmured, thinking wistfully of Paris. When they reached the station, Paulina hugged her uncle, then she and her friends scampered on board the train. After nearly 4 hours, they arrived at Agua Caliente. Paulina hurried to the car rental desk and rented an all-terrain vehicle. The Mouselings' next stop, Machu Picchu. As Pam drove carefully along the twisting roads, Nikki, Colette, and Violet kept calling out in amazement. Look, the mountains are covered in snow. There's a llama and a herd of goats. When they reached a certain height, they were struck squeakless. In front of them lay the ruins of Machu Picchu, the lost city of the Incas. The city was perched below a rocky peak. The streets were laid out in a grid pattern that seemed to cling to the sides of a grassy slope. The stone walls of its buildings looked ancient. It was an impressive sight. Thundering cattails! It's amazing, breathed Pamela. Machu Picchu is one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. It is situated 6,562 feet above sea level on the eastern slope of the Cordillera Vilcanato in the Urubamba River Valley. In the Quechua language, Machu Picchu means ancient peak. Machu Picchu was built by the Incas, perhaps as a ceremonial center of royal retreat or a country palace in the 15th century. The Incas abandoned the city properly around the time of the conquistadors, and its existence remained unknown to the wider world for 400 years. It is not mentioned in any of the chronicles of the Spanish conquistadors. Machu Picchu was rediscovered on July 11, 1911, by Hiram Bingham, a professor at Yale University. Bingham wrote a number of books about Machu Picchu, the most famous being the Lost City of the Incas. Today, Machu Picchu remains an archaeological site shrouded in mystery. Its buildings and landscape beckon visitors from around the world. Our next chapter is called Clouds and Condors. If you are not sure what a condor is, it is a big bird that you can see here at the top. But if you want to Google it to see what a real one looks like, I would highly recommend that. Paulina wished she let her friends relax and enjoyed the fantastic view of Machu Picchu, but she was desperate to carry out their mission, finding Professor Sagefur. So the Mouselings left the Urubamba River Valley for the vast Andean plateau, where many of the descendants of the Incas still live. Dark clouds covered the sun, and a frigid wind swept through the area. The 5 friends followed a bare and uneven road without encountering another rodent. Are you sure anyone lives up here? Nikki asked Paulina. If they do, they're probably smart enough to be inside, away from the cold, commented Violet. I'm freezing my tail off. There, down there, Colette interrupted, pointing out her window. Those are llamas, right? There's even a shepherd. Paulina turned to look. Sure enough, there was a shepherd leading his flock. Finally, they found someone they could ask about Professor Sagefur. The shepherd welcomed them with a friendly smile, which grew even wider when Paulina spoke to him in Quechua. Quechua was spoken by the Incas and is still spoken today by many people in South America. He didn't have many opportunities to speak with anyone, so he was happy to stop and have a chat. Yes, your friend the professor passed through here a few days ago. He was headed for the Tompu, which is not too far away. A tompu is a roadside shelter. He paused and looked up at the sky for a moment. It would be wise for you to go there too. A storm is headed this way. The shepherd raised his eyes to the sky again to point out the dark rain clouds. Then he suddenly turned pale and murmured, "Hunter!" Without squeaking goodbye, he herded his llamas together and led them away in a hurry. "What was that all about?" asked Pamela, surprised. "What does Kunter mean?" "In Quechua, it means condor," explained Paulina. She looked up at the sky, trying to figure out what had alarmed the shepherd. There was a condor circling above and between the dark clouds. "I don't understand why he scurried away just like that. It's just a condor." "Well, we should hurry up too, so that we can reach that shelter. It's definitely going to start raining any minute," cried Violet. Before she finished squeaking, it started to pour. The Quechua people and language. The Quechua people have lived in the Andes for centuries. Their language, also called Quechua, has served both the Inca and Spanish conquerors. The language was in use long before the arrival of the Incas, who took advantage of its widespread use. They adopted Quechua and made it their own. Today, Quechua is spoken by approximately 6 to 8 million people in many areas of Peru, as well as parts of Colombia, Ecuador, Bolivia, and northeast Argentina. All right, tomorrow, the title is Professor Sagefur, so I hope you will tune in to see if we can finally find him. Talk to you later. Bye.